What is knob polishing?
You're gonna make me say this. I am a neglected man.
I like to think that I look like a jack, even though my name's really Bob.
Does he have danglers or something?
Well, it's time to go do them lighthouse duties.
Sitting in the cheese at the old Walmart to cool off.
That should be the headline. Man tasered in the nuts after stealing beef.
Yeah, but you're not gonna sit in the cheese. You're not gonna sit in the cheese, and you're not gonna put ribeyes down your pants either.
House cleaning is secondary. So what is the Viagra triangle?
Possibly we aid in your digestion.
I don't know if his little hand is smaller than his little ears or what.
Aw, well maybe he has a syndrome.
Want to go check out my RV? It's parked right around the corner. Because I'm pretty sure that I saw some moose knuckle.
No.
There is absolutely some moose knuckle going on.
My swampy friend. What the hell is a swampy friend?
I know. So they're not going to get any scraping on their shaft.
Yes, I'm gonna do a downward dog.
Okay, pretty lady. You had on those gosh darn sexy leather looking shorts.
Ladies and gentlemen, and assholes, gather around. It's time for another action-packed episode of
Trouble in Paradise.
Hi, I'm Nigel Kent.
And I'm Jazmine Starr.
And welcome to Trouble in Paradise,
where we talk about everything amazing, awkward, auspicious, and sometimes even ass-tastic here in Southwest Florida.
Amazing, got it. Awkward, yes.
Definitely.
Auspicious, yep, probably. And ass-tastic on top of it. That sounds like episode 28 of Trouble in Paradise. But before we start, I have to ask you something, Jazmine Starr. What happens when football players lose their eyesight?
I don't know.
They become referees.
That's so bad.
So, if you could get an exotic pet, what kind of exotic pet would you get? Like
a chinchilla.
A chinchilla. Why? What's exotic about a chinchilla? To you, well, I mean, why is it exotic?
Okay, wait, I take that back. Like, if I'm going really exotic, I'm going like Michael Jackson, and I'm getting myself a chimp.
A chimp?
Yeah.
A chimp, like a full-blown,
like a chimpanzee.
Those are big. But
they're just like babies that you can kind of wrap around you and just...
I mean, maybe if you could really potty train it.
Well, you can put them in diapers. I see people that put them in diapers.
Okay.
What about you?
I think I would probably get a goat.
A goat.
And I would name it Margoat. In fact, there is a goat out there named Margoat. And
I've heard that.
She is the subject of a very nasty paternity lawsuit right now. Only in Florida, of course.
In Florida.
So we're going to talk about that. And then I heard it through the grapevine that we might be playing a game tonight.
I think we are playing a game.
And which game would that be?
That's going to be True Fact or Bullcrap.
True Fact or Bullcrap.
And what's our count right now?
I think you are leading 2-1.
2-1.
You've defeated me twice in True Fact or Bullcrap.
That's true.
And I narrowly defeated you once, although I think it was questionable. The officiating may have been done by some sightless football players. And then we've got another subject too tonight, which is it's really actually a pretty intriguing subject called Randonauting.
Yes.
And you kind of discovered this Randonautica thing, which neither of us have tried.
No.
But some very interesting and almost borderline supernatural stuff has happened with this app.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I just know about the one case that I heard about it, so I'll be interested to see what you were able to find on the subject.
Well, there's that one, and then there's another one. They're both very interesting. Okay, so we're going to get into randonauting, which is like this kind of like, it's like a geocaching Pokemon type of app, except it's not cute and it doesn't have Pokemon in it.
No, it's like choose your own adventure style for adults, but I don't know. Are we too old to do this? Because I don't know, this seems more like maybe a millennial kind of thing.
I do think that it's a millennial and younger.
Yeah, like a Gen X.
Well, I consider myself to be Gen X. So, ex-smoker. But first, we should probably get caught up because some interesting things happened that sort of crashed the production of our last episode, which fortunately, and this is divine providence, I believe,
Right.
we weren't live streaming last week. Can you imagine if we had been?
We were live streaming.
Well, we were live streaming on IGTV.
On IGTV, just we weren't on YouTube then.
That's right.
Doing a live stream, but yeah, we were live on IGTV. So shout out to anyone on Instagram, and also shout out to anyone on YouTube as well.
Yep, YouTube Trouble in Paradise. Instagram is Trouble239, and Twitter is Tipcast239. Thank you to everybody that's been following us and kind of following along. This is also our first time doing any sort of live chat. So we have our best technical operator in the house manning the live stream monitor. And that would be the beautiful and talented Jazmine Starr. So if she gets a little overwhelmed tonight, that's why. Because she's got a lot of screens in her face and she really just wants to talk about randonauting and be the beautiful specimen that she is.
I'm used to having things in my face, just not computer screens. So I'm out of my I'm out of my comfort zone.
Well, rather than step into that deep, deep puddle, why don't you tell everybody kind of what happened last week and why our episode ended so abruptly?
Yeah. So, first of all, apologies to anyone that was listening or viewing that episode. But if you go back and look at it, around like the 48-minute mark, I get a bit distracted, and you'll actually see me finger point to Nigel because there was some smoke in the studio.
There was some smoke in the studio, which was extremely alarming, although not altogether surprising to either one of us.
No. So we did catch people up. We had a short little break in our podcasting. Nigel had traveled north to help his mother and move her down here. So she had a little bit of time in the house, and she should not be smoking.
Yeah, Mom decided she was going to light up a cigarette because,
yes,
my mom is a crafty individual, and I suspect that she was quite feisty, having not smoked in several weeks. And really, by then, it was probably about 2.5 months that she hadn't smoked a cigarette.
Yep. She had purchased a pack, which me being the healthcare professional that I am, removed whenever I found it. However, she is also how old is your mother?
70. She'll be 73 this year.
So, she has quite a bit of knowledge under her belt and knew exactly what to do, which was to go
to wait until we were tied up in the studio.
In the middle of our cast, to go into the kitchen and start up the stove and spark her cigarette. And it really did catch both of us off guard because it was like somebody was blowing smoke into our studio. And
she lit the cigarette off the stove because she had been denied access to a cigarette lighter.
Right.
By a person who we shall not name. But a certain individual
Jazmine
denied
Starr.
her access to a cigarette lighter.
Jazmine Starr did it.
Yes. So, needless to say, when we smelled smoke in the studio, we pretty much had to drop everything.
Yeah, we quickly wrapped it up, and it was a little abrupt. So apologies there.
And it was nothing but good times and great country favorites after that, all night long. Like, oh boy, I was in a mood.
Yeah,
it was bad. You look fantastic tonight, Jazmine.
Well, thank you, Nigel.
Thank you. Or you're welcome. I was expecting you to say you too.
Thank you.
But you didn't, so I guess that...
you look very handsome, Nigel.
Oh gosh, handsome. There we go, the H word.
What do you want me to say? You look hot.
You look hot.
You look hot.
You look hot. So anybody that wants to participate in the live stream tonight, feel free to jump on YouTube. We have the chat window up on Jazmine's iPad here. I would like to talk about Randonautica. You first turned me on to Randonautica because you were telling me about a video that you had seen on TikTok, which features some teenagers.
Yeah.
They're basically geocaching, right? They're going on
Right.
the Randonautica app to
they
find
were
a place to go randomly. Mm-hmm. And when they got to this randomly appointed place, they discovered a suitcase full of body parts.
Right.
Human body parts.
But when you watch the actual TikTok, you know, they're playing it up and they're just kind of like, ooh, what could be in, you know, who knows what's in the suitcase.
Right.
And, you know, it's like, so they're like, as they're doing this TikTok and they're totally like playing it up, then
They kind of realized what
they
was happening.
realized, oh crap. Because once they opened the suitcase, there was a very foul smell, and it was indeed human remains.
So then they called the Seattle Police Department, which of course is tied up with Chaz and Chop and all the other walkouts that they've been involved in because of all these crazy riots and everything like that. But I actually looked at Google Maps to find the distance between the Chop zone, which is this autonomous police-free zone, and the location of where these body parts showed up.
No pun intended with the chop.
The chop,
zone.
right.
And body parts in a suitcase.
Right. But they're like 6.5 miles apart. I was just curious about that because if they do ever draw some kind of a connection between the Chop zone or the Chaz zone and this very, very weird coincidence with Randonautica. So here's the thing. Let me read to you a quick paragraph about Randonautica that was written by somebody who wrote a piece for Wired. It says, Randonautica is essentially using a true random, or as close to that as feasibly possible, generator to calculate location coordinates and then telling the user to go there to explore. It's to get you out of your routine and go to a specific locale that you've probably never noticed. A lot of users use it to also explore and experiment with ideas about quantum mechanics and consciousness, and to see what happens when you go to a place the universe doesn't expect, which kind of infers that they think this app has outsmarted the universe, but I'm going to leave that alone for a second.
Just reread that last part.
Okay, so
I need to absorb that just a little bit.
All right, so a lot of users are using it to also explore and experiment with ideas about quantum mechanics and consciousness to basically see what happens when you go to a place the universe doesn't expect. Like, if we're in a simulation, what could happen if you start doing truly random things? Ideas like that. I'm not sure what I think about that part of it, but a lot of people report having strange experiences randonauting, so there could be something to it. And I've got 2 experiences to share with you or to explore deeper.
You know, when you start talking about like the consciousness and stuff like that, you know, I might have to try this out.
Well,
because I like weird.
What they're saying is that there's a natural order to a programmed universe, but when things are introduced that are truly random and independent of that design, then things that weren't defined by that universe are supposed to happen. And so that's a possible explanation for these kids going to an ostensibly random location and finding a bunch of stuff that maybe will help solve a murder or help uncover something much, much deeper. Whenever you find a bag full of human body parts, I think that that's a little bit more than just random, right?
Right. Well, and the report did say, too, that once the police got there, they did discover another suitcase floating that had body parts in it as well. So my question is, like, who puts these adventures into...
Supposedly, it's completely random.
But somebody has to put it in there.
What it does is the algorithm works like this. You download the app. It fixes your location using your mobility, using your location services on your phone.
Right.
And then it figures out places that you can go that are accessible by walking around you, and then sends you to them. and then you're supposed to, do whatever you're going to do, meditate or explore or try to discover something new. So it's basically like Pokemon, except the bait isn't there. There's no augmented reality that's provided by the software like there is in the Pokemon Go app.
So, I mean, the whole thing really is they're just trying to get people to go explore new things rather than be out of get them out of the normal routine.
Yes. And so among the several examples that I looked up where people were posting things that they thought were really interesting that they'd come across while randonauting, one of them was a home that was decorated with silver silos that were painted with "Be kind to each other," and the whole house was like this extravagant ode to kindness and treating people well. But it was very beautiful. It was red and silver and so on. And so the person posted that they weren't expecting to see this, but because they randonauted, they came across it. There was another one where they came across a circle of tree trunks that had been, placed probably as a circle around a campfire at some point. Mm-hmm. But the tree trunks had been chopped, supposedly used as stools. But, they thought there was some significance to their arrangement vertically in a circle, which is, there's a self-evident reason why that's something to be concerned about. But what I got out of that was it probably was just a bunch of people that chopped up stools so they could sit around a campfire. And then somebody discovered it years later.
Were they 6 feet apart?
I don't know. I'd have to dig the
And were there more than 10 stumps? Because heaven forbid you're not 6 feet apart and had more than 10 stumps.
Here we go.
But bump.
This social distancing bullshit. Can I ask you a quick aside with social distancing?
Wait, only when you say it like you.
Well, I prefer to call it social distancing.
Thank you. Now proceed.
It shouldn't be called social distancing at all, right? Because it's not. It's actually anti-social distancing. Or if you want to be really literal, it's physical distancing.
I can't wait until you see the hat that I have coming in the mail. It was back ordered, but it actually says antisocial. And I can't wait to wear it.
I can't wait for you to wear it on the show.
I will.
So, so here's the account of the kids that found the body parts from Randonaut. It says, the kid's name is Henry. It says, quote, "Randonaut sent us to this part of the beach, and we found this black suitcase," Henry said. "We were joking that maybe the suitcase would have money. When Henry and his friends got closer to the suitcase, Henry can be heard saying, 'It stinks, y'all.' Once the suitcase was fully opened, Henry said that the smell was overwhelming. Eventually, Henry and his friends, who were, quote, 'a little scared and nervous,' unquote, decided to call the police to see, quote, 'if it's actually a dead body or if it's just food.'"
Yeah, they weren't sure.
They thought it could stinky old dog food or something like that.
Well, and in the video, I'm sure it's viral now, but if they're pushing the zipper down on the suitcase with like they found like a 2x4 or something close by.
Oh, it was gross, gross enough that they didn't want to touch it.
Exactly. Like as soon as they got a whiff of that, it's like they're trying to like push it open and like prop it open to kind of take a peek, and then they just get scared and call the police, and then, but there's so many things about this where it's like you're saying it's random, but I'm like, what? Like
how random could it really be?
Like, or
if they found human body parts within, as soon as they got to the spot they were directed to. That's fucking weird. Like bad.
I just, there's what if you had like just like this sinister component to it where you just have like a madman behind this app, and I don't want to like
could be.
I don't want to
there's plenty of multi-billionaire madmen out there,
but like where there could be so many weird things that you could like do to people.
Yeah.
and what was that movie? It was like a Michael Douglas movie, The Game.
The Game. Yeah.
Yes.
So kind of
you
like,
know,
yeah.
and that's kind of what this reminds me of whenever I like talking about this and like hearing some of like the weird accounts and everything, and now coming across a beautiful house and something like that. Oh, you know, that's nice. But you know,
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying, but there's other examples of
like what happens if you turn your location services off your phone? Where are they going to send you?
they're not. The app doesn't work without it.
Well, I mean, say generally, you're a person that turns off your location services. You know, you want to be
I'll tell you what, if I was the kid that discovered that bag of limbs, I would move to Canada right now and disappear. You know, under any other circumstances. Like, they probably can't kill the kid because now he's famous. But there has been nothing released from the Seattle PD on this investigation since, I think it came out on the 21st, which is 4 days ago.
right.
Nothing. But that's not the only one that's weird. There's another very interesting story about a group that was sent by Randonaut to an old house in the middle of the woods. And they said, quote, "We looked inside and found what looks like what's left of 2 nooses. My intention was something sad. On our way back to the truck, there was an owl sitting in a tree watching us. I am done with this app." Is what they said.
What?
Yeah. All right. So let me see if I can show you a picture of this. Let me see if I can pull up a picture of this noose that happened.
Like, how is this entertainment?
All right, so there it is. Let me turn the screen share back on real quick for the viewers on YouTube.
Okay, so what Nigel's
this is
showing
the-
us, yeah.
I mean, you can see that there's something. This does look like a noose right here.
It's kind of hard to tell, I think, don't you?
Yeah, he's hanging. I mean, this doesn't look like much of a support system straight from the ceiling. Let me see if I can maximize this. Make it
I
a little
mean,
easier.
yeah.
But-
I would
But this is. But look at this place. I mean, this
I would
place is
take
creepy
that-
to begin with.
take that down. If you tried to put that around me, man, I would be. Maybe that's why all the floorboards are broken.
Well, I can't tell if
Sorry.
it's the floorboards or if a wall has fallen down or what, but this place is hit. And there's
Yeah.
entire pieces of the sidewall completely missing. So
And this is what the app sent them to.
yeah, and there's another one right here, another rope hanging from the ceiling.
You know,
Now they're claiming that this one does kind of resemble a noose. Okay, this one does not. And you can tell it looks like they're hitting it with a flashlight too.
well, there's.
You're
I'm not buying.
it.
I'm not buying this one. No.
Jazmine reacts, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'm not buying that. You know, I would have enough weight behind me. I think my children, there's no support beam or anything like for that to be, unless somebody placed it there just for like viewing.
That was my initial complaint with it too, is that it doesn't
appear to be something that anybody could ever use.
Right. Maybe a couple of these are just like absolute setups designed to popularize Randonautica. I'm curious if Randonautica is a paid app or not. Maybe somebody can check on that for us. Since I don't have, I'm going to look at my iPhone right now and see if Randonautica. Well, hello to everybody on Instagram.
Yes.
We've got some
hello.
IGTV visitors out there.
Yep. Love
Our,
you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Our IGTV camera position is different than our YouTube camera position. So we don't have the chat quite hooked up yet. But thanks to everybody that's made comments and so forth on IGTV. We really do appreciate it. So what would you do? Would you give in to your intuitions and freak out about this, or would you just say, no, I'm going to be rational and logical and say this is a hoax?
Okay, so you know me. I don't know. Did we ever talk about? Okay, so several years ago, I was a paranormal investigator. So walking into a situation like this, it wouldn't freak me out. In fact, I would be drawn. The weirder, the better.
Yeah.
So, if somebody had like a location or something and they're like, you know what, you need to check this out, I would be down for that. So this stuff it doesn't really get my attention too much. Like,
it freaks everybody else out. And so with this kind of thing, like with these nooses, you're more inclined to sort of be the skeptic and say, hey, man, this is fake.
Well, but the app is geared towards, or appears to be geared towards, a younger population than us 40-somethings.
Don't tell everybody how old I am.
I said 40-somethings. Oh, come on.
You're a meanie. Anyway.
I have no problem. I am proud to say that I
You
am
made
42
it this far.
years old. I love being 42.
Okay.
I have no problem with it.
Just wait till you hit 43.
Bring it on.
And then we're going to replay this episode.
I love being 42.
But yeah, it's interesting though. So I actually looked up the Seattle Police Department police report for this incident with the kids in the bag of parts, and it was very mum. I mean, nothing was in the report except for what the kids said, which is weird because there was no firsthand investigation notes. There was no, like, whoever responded to the scene didn't record corresponding data. All they did is took a statement.
Right.
That's weird, right?
No, not necessarily. I don't think at that early on in an investigation, there's so much data to be collected.
It doesn't even say anything like, yes, these kids discovered a bag of body parts.
Oh, okay.
It just says this is what the kids said happened. And that's kind of, you know what I mean? Like, you would think if something like that was on scene that they would be able to corroborate the kids' claims.
Right.
Because if they don't, that leaves the kids up for, like hoaxing and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I based on what I saw, and these kids didn't appear to be hoaxing, or they're great actors and actresses, because they had that reaction, like, oh my gosh, look at that. Oh my gosh, there's the suitcase. And then they're like kind of tiptoeing and playing it up until the point where they found it. And then there's an immediate change in their whole entire demeanor, all of them. So that it makes me think like, okay.
Well, do you really know that from the TikTok video? I mean, I think that if you're on the beach and there's nobody there and there's a suitcase, you're going to check it out if you're at Randonauting.
Hell yeah, I'm going to hope there's money in it.
Exactly. That's exactly what they said. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's what they said. They were quoted saying, we hope there was money in it.
Yeah, I would wish there were money in it too.
As would I. So, because we could really upgrade our studio if we had $400. Like, get 2 HD cams that don't rely on OBS for the camera input. Sorry, I just lost half our audience right there with the tech talk. I think it's time for us to even the score.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna harness.
Oh, you're getting ready, huh?
Because you were quite prepared, and I've had a busy week. I've had a lot going on.
Oh, Jazmine.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, you have been bragging. I am on. I have my true fact and bullcrap ready to go.
I do have my true fact or bullcrap ready to go.
So you know what?
I can, if I win tonight, I can even our all-time record.
I'm a little intimidated by your confidence level, but
I somehow doubt that.
We'll see what happens.
I love your fake intimidation. Like, oh, I'm intimidated because you're confident. Okay, that is not the Jazmine I know. Let's get this thing started. And I think ladies first.
I think we did ladies first the last time.
Ladies always go first.
Okay. Number 1. In Titanic.
You know what? Not to interrupt.
You did.
I'm sorry. We should probably recap the rules for everybody real quick.
Go ahead.
All right. So in True Fact or Bullcrap, this is a game we play where we have to state a statement of fact to our opponent, and they have to tell us whether or not it's a true fact or a bullcrap. If they're right, they get a point. If they're wrong, they don't get a point. At the end of 4 rounds, we have a tie-breaking round if we're tied. We usually do the tie-breaking round anyway because we're fun. And there's also a bonus point for whoever guesses the theme of the questions of their opponent. So Jazmine's job then would be to guess the theme of all the questions or all of the true fact or bull craps that I have stated to her.
Right.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption.
Now, where was I? In Titanic.
You mean the movie or in the boat?
In the movie.
She's getting touchy already.
The director drew the charcoal drawing of Kate Winslet himself.
James Cameron is the director of Titanic. So we are talking about the film.
The film, yes.
Okay, and you're saying that he drew the charcoal drawing of Kate Winslet.
The iconic topless charcoal drawing where she's nude. And you have the scene where Jack is drawing
she's
her
posing
with the
naked.
heart of the ocean.
And she's
the
like,
only thing she's wearing.
Draw me like one of your French girls.
Yes, and she's.
It's the dumbest movie of all time.
Oh my gosh.
So you contend that
draw me like one of your French girls, Nigel.
That James Cameron sat in front of Kate Winslet and drew a charcoal drawing of Kate Winslet.
Topless with nothing but the heart of the ocean on.
And of course, the heart of the ocean was the piece of jewelry that was the prop for the whole movie. That was
right.
like the plot device.
Right.
James Cameron. You didn't lead off with James Cameron. You just said the director. You know, the only people who say director are people in Star Wars and Canadians.
I'm not Canadian.
I know that. James Cameron. Let's see. Does he have a history of pedophilia? I mean, she was like 20 at the time that movie was filmed.
Okay, come on. True fact or bullcrap?
Bullcrap.
True fact.
I should have guessed true fact.
James Cameron said, if you want something done right, sometimes you need to do it yourself.
That's the douchiest excuse for drawing a naked Kate Winslet ever. A real man would just be like, Kate Winslet is hot, and I want to draw a picture of her naked. I mean, that would have been the accurate answer, right?
If you want it done right.
Or Leonardo DiCaprio is a really crappy artist.
It probably would have been like a stick figure with like the heart of the ocean and be like,
right,
your French girl, you know. Like,
it'll look like the Peenswagon, like very very primitive, like the Peniswagon. All right, my turn. Interesting. So I'm already formulating a theory about your theme, but I'm not going to share anything because I don't want you to try to give me a head fake.
From one question, you're already formulating a theory.
Yes.
I like you're getting all Shaniqua already with the head bobbing and weaving here.
I'm getting Shaniqua.
Go ahead.
On Jimmy Carter's first day in office.
Oh my God.
On Jimmy Carter's first day in office, he officially pardoned all Vietnam War draft dodgers.
True fact.
True fact. In all, about 100,000 Americans went abroad in the late 1960s and early 70s to avoid being called up. Some 90% went to Canada, where after some initial controversy, they were accepted as legal immigrants. Thousands went into hiding at home, sometimes changing their identities. In addition, about 1,000 military deserters found their way to Canada, too. So, yeah, true fact. All right, you're winning. Ooh. You're defeating me now. After one round, it's 1-0 Jazmine.
Okay. Toy Story 2 was almost deleted.
Deleted?
Yes.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. That's like a 7-word true factor bullcrap.
You always complain about this.
6 words. I do. It's like
You do all the time.
I'm trying to press any advantage I can for victory here.
Well, oh, that one was really long. It could have been this and this and this and this. And then you go with like, that's it. 6 words.
This is the shortest true factor bullcrap statement
Toy
ever.
Story 2 was almost deleted. True fact or bullcrap?
True fact.
That is a true fact.
All right, so Pixar.
A command entered in the quote master machine where the movie was stored deleted 90% of the work Pixar had done. Backup system had also failed, and there was no copy. The film's technical director had a copy she had been working on at home, and much of it was restored.
The bane of IT. Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine losing 90%?
Yeah, that year, a lot of people, Pixar was hiring a lot of IT technicians that year. I bet you they fired quite a few just before that.
But no backup or the backup failed. I mean, it was just like.
Okay, here's the thing. If IT guys pay as much attention to live data as they do backup data, the backup will always fail because most IT guys don't give up.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have it's the supervisory people that actually care.
I thought, though, I really hope that this technical director that was working on the film from home, that she got a raise.
I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so.
And I hope she didn't violate any Pixar company policies about secrecy and stuff in order to be working from it at home. And to have that volume of data.
I think they would be grateful, though. I mean.
Oh, you better be.
Come on.
Yeah. That's a good movie. Toy Story 2 is a really good movie.
All right. Shoot.
Oh, subject change. Okay. Okay. Here's my true factor bullcrap for my response to you during round 2. The artificial heart, the personal portable stereo, fiber optic cabling, and MRIs were all invented the same year.
Bullcrap.
True. In addition, the telephone-connected automatic teller machine and a new form of superweapon called a neutron bomb were also invented that same year.
All right.
Why did you guess bullcrap, though? I'm curious. Do they seem like they're things that are separated by vast technological distances?
What kind of threw me was the artificial heart and the MRI. That's where I was like, wasn't so sure about that.
Interesting. Well, you do have a medical background, so those are the ones that you're like. Over to you. We're tied.
We are tied.
1-1.
Jules's wallet in Pulp Fiction reads badass and actually belonged to Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay. All right. This is going to be a big reveal for our listeners and watchers. I've never seen Pulp Fiction. I know. Before you're like, ooh, I can hear people booing. You said Jules's?
Jules.
Jules.
Yeah.
That's
Jules
a character?
Yes.
Okay. Which one is Jules?
That was John Travolta's character.
Oh, John Travolta played a character named Jules?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he was Jules in there.
And he had a bob haircut that every white girl from 1964 wore. That was his haircut in that movie, right?
What?
Yeah.
Are you thinking of Uma Thurman?
No, I'm thinking of John Travolta. So I have seen all the promotional photos, or many of them, the materials.
Okay.
All right, so you're telling me that the wallet... Can you repeat, please, because I'm lost.
Jules's wallet in Pulp Fiction reads badass. Okay, so in the movie, the wallet says badass and actually belonged to Samuel L. Jackson, who was also, since you haven't seen it, you know who he is. He was in the movie.
Yeah, Samuel L. Well, he's got kind of like a Jerry fro in the movie. It's like a really juicy afro. I mean, I've seen the highlights and stuff, right?
Just
It's so this is a bait and switch, right? Because the wallet belonged to somebody else that was associated with the movie, and that's Quentin Tarantino. So I'm going to withdraw that comment from the record and call bullcrap.
Bullcrap. You're right.
I identified your setup. Yes, you did. I caught your setup.
And guess what?
What?
It was the director's wallet, none other than Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, here's why I guessed that, if you care. Quentin Tarantino is probably one of the biggest egos in Hollywood. So the fact that he had a cameo with a wallet that says badass totally makes sense for him.
But come on. Samuel L. is like known for like
He wasn't back
dropping
then.
the F. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the movie that put him on the map with that.
Favorite thing.
Motherfucker! Like that. Except I can't really do it justice. I need to lower my timbre a little bit. Motherfucker. Okay. All right, my turn. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
The highest grossing film of all time at the box office, adjusted for inflation, is Star Wars.
Which episode?
The original Star Wars, which we now know as episode 4.
4. That's bullcrap.
It is bullcrap. But before I tell you why, I'd like to hear why you think it's bullcrap.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but I do know that there was a movie that, like, within the last probably 5 years, that was the highest grossing movie.
Wait, within the last 5 years? Do you want to retract your answer?
The answer was bullcrap.
Which is
So
the
go
great
ahead. Enlighten our audience.
Okay. There have been movies that have grossed more, not adjusted for inflation in recent years, but the all-time highest grossing film at the box office is Gone with the Wind, which came out in 1939. According to Box Office Mojo, Star Wars is the second highest grossing film of all time, adjusted for inflation. And so after 3 rounds, you want to tell me the score?
We're tied.
No.
What?
Do we have to really recap?
What's the
Because I
score?
just won that round. Or no, we tied that round.
Yes.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
We are tied.
Tied at 1-1. Yes. Man, I tried to sneak one in on you there.
Nigel.
Yes, Jasmine.
The snow in the Wizard of Oz in the famous poppy field scene was made of craftfully, hand-cut tissue paper.
Crappily hand-cut tissue paper. It doesn't matter.
I know, I'm like, blah, blah, blah.
That's not the issue, right?
Craftfully.
You're not
Why
gonna-
can't I say that word?
Craftily? I mean, it's an adverb, right? According to our friend Raven, adverbs are supposed to be illegal, right? There's a group of people that are upset about adverbs.
Okay, let's stay on subject here.
Okay.
So the
So in the
famous
Wizard of
scene-
Oz, the
yes.
snow is tissue paper.
Yes. Where they've
Wow. Oh, this is a coin flip. I'm trying to remember that scene. I mean, I know the.
poppies. Poppies.
Yes, I know. And then they all get sleepy.
And they all get sleepy and they fall asleep in the poppy field.
Because that's what poppies do to people when they walk through a poppy field. I guess the witch was casting some kind of spell on them, right?
Right. Okay, so just on subject, the snow was made
You really want this round.
of
You really want my answer fast. I'm going to say true fact.
that is actually bullcrap.
Oh, here we go.
As horrible as this sounds, and it really is horrible.
Uh-oh, here we go.
The snow was made of asbestos-based fake snowflakes.
Oh, great. Like so.
Can you believe that they
So
use
everybody
like,
in that scene is dead, right?
they use like asbestos to look like snow in The Wizard of Oz? It blew my mind when I read that. I was like, what?
Touche.
Touche.
Touche. Hashtag touche. Okay. Here's my fourth round question. And let's see. Right now we're still tied unless you get this one wrong. All right, because you just got me on one. Here it is. This is the true fact or bullcrap for the fourth round. The FBI once tested a hair specimen they examined to determine if it was from an actual Sasquatch.
True fact.
True fact. An Oregon man intent on proving the existence of the mythical creatures known as Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and the abominable snowman and Yeti managed to get the FBI to test hair and tissue samples that he believed might help his case. So that's true fact. And after 4 rounds, you have defeated me 2-1. Do you want to do winner take all on the fifth round? How strong is your stuff?
How strong is your stuff?
Or do you just want to go 5 rounds and then see if we can do the theme?
I like doing our little 5-round thing.
All right. 5 rounds it is. It's your turn.
All right, Nigel. The terrifying noises made by the raptors in Jurassic Park were actually recordings of tortoises mating.
The terrifying sounds of the raptors in Jurassic Park were actually were recordings of the sounds of tortoises mating. Okay. Can you I would like to hear one of the raptor sounds. I would like to hear your impression of one of the raptor sounds, please. I'll do mine if you do yours.
Oh, let me hear yours first.
No, that's not how it works. But I will definitely do mine if you do yours. I'd like to hear that raptor sound so I can really remember if it sounds like tortoises that I know. Oh, wow. So there's some clicking. That doesn't seem as menacing as I remember it from the movie.
I'm not a raptor. I'm sorry.
And we're talking about Jurassic Park, not Jurassic World, right?
Jurassic Park.
I thought it was more like, wah, wah, wah. Like,
you sound like you're giving birth.
That's not how giving. I've been at 2 birth givings, and that's not how they sounded when I was around. There was not enough cussing. Bullcrap.
True fact.
Oh, come on. Tortoises mating.
Yes.
And you just did an impression of tortoises mating?
You asked me to do my best impression of a raptor.
Okay.
I'm like, it was the most awful impression of a raptor ever. If I were on...
That's what you did.
They experimented with horses breathing and hissing geese, but tortoises for the win.
Boy, that's just goes to show you how inventive they are in Hollywood and how they can pretty much fool anybody about anything.
Now, every time that we see Jurassic Park, we'll just think, those are mating tortoises.
So I have just been statistically eliminated. However, if you'd like, we can continue.
Yeah, let's just finish it off.
Yes, let's continue this drubbing. I'm about to go down 3-1. The deadliest air travel disaster of all time caused the deaths of 583 crew and passengers.
True fact.
True fact. The deadliest air travel disaster of all time occurred when 2 Boeing 747s, one belonging to Pan Am, collided on a foggy runway in Los Rodeos, Spain. Almost 600 crew and passengers died. Mm-hmm. At the time, fewer airports had ground radar, and the crash was due to bad interpretation of instructions by the captain of the second plane, which belonged to KLM. And you just true facted that. Why?
I instantly thought Pan Am.
Well, Pan Am is on the top 10 list like 4 times for deadliest air disasters. That's probably why they're gone now. But yeah, you true facted it like Insta.
Yeah.
So what's my theme?
Um.
Actually, is it your turn? I think it's your turn. So maybe I should guess your theme. Can I get a recap on the questions on the True Factor Bullcraps, though?
We had the one with the Titanic.
Okay.
Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
The wallet. The snow in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
And the raptor noises in Jurassic
Okay.
Park.
It's all movies. It's all films. That's your theme.
It was a little more specific than that.
It's not props. Because the sound effect wouldn't be a prop. The rest of the stuff would be, though. The wallet, the snow, the drawing, yeah.
But not the loss of the 90% of the Toy Story film. There was no prop involvement with that.
Yeah, okay. Or sound effects either. Well, it's all film related. It's all behind the scenes kind of stuff from films.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Well, I lost, so I can get it, right?
Yeah.
It's my little moral victory.
Yeah. It's just weird movie facts or unusual. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
That was pretty good for last minute preparation.
Thank you.
I gotta say, I'm not gonna give you any extra points because I already lost. But so what was mine?
Quick recap, please.
Sure. On Jimmy Carter's first day in office, he officially pardoned Vietnam War draft dodgers.
Okay.
The artificial heart, the personal portable stereo, fiber optic cabling, and MRIs were all invented the same year.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI once tested a hair specimen they examined to determine if it was from an actual Sasquatch.
Mm-hmm.
The highest grossing film of all time at the box office, adjusted for inflation, is Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And the deadliest air travel disaster of all time caused the deaths of 583 crew and passengers.
I'm going to go with events that occurred in the 70s.
Oh, you're really close. You're really close.
1977.
Yes. See, this is why Jazmine is smarter than everybody else, ladies and gentlemen and assholes, because she can guess the themes and just whoop my ass in True Factor Bullcrap like it's her job. All right. So anything that you'd care to add? And now that you're the champion of True Factor Bullcrap for all time, what are you going to do?
You had me really nervous when the first thing you did, and I probably should never say this, but you know me well enough to know, like, when you started off with the political question, I was like, I'm so screwed.
Well, I would never do a True Factor Bullcrap that I didn't think was fair for you to, like, I know you wouldn't just drop a whole bunch of stuff about dancing. Like, because I don't know a lot about dancing. You know all the different dance steps and everything.
But
like,
nobody puts baby in a corner.
Okay. Fine. That's from a movie too, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't watch a whole lot of that stuff.
I've had the time of my life.
Sing it.
Now I've...
Wait, I was going to do the harmony. You're killing me, Smalls. Absolutely killing me. All right. So, when we let off the show today, we talked about what kind of exotic pets we would get.
Right.
And I told you that I would want to get a goat.
Yeah. Why? Like...
Well, because they go, and they faint.
Only a certain kind faint.
Fainting goats. Yes.
But they are really good for lawn care because they will eat the grass and help.
They'll murder the grass.
Well, that's why a lot of people get them like out in since if we want to stick on the Southwest Florida topic, a lot of people out in the States get goats because they'll eat like all the underbrush and everything out and help tend to the property. And
Well,
then
we
you
are
can
on,
also
only in
classify.
Florida.
You can also classify it that you have agricultural land, which also will help you on your taxes.
This is why. This is why right now. She's smarter than me. She's smarter than you. Just everybody get over it. Make sure you follow her on on Twitter at Jazmine Star 2Rs 239. And if you need a break from all that smartiness, you can follow me, Nigel Kent 239 on Twitter.
I think the more smarty one is you.
The more smarty.
The smarty one on you is Twitter. On Twitter is you.
Okay. Well, I just spend more time on Twitter, and I am a smart ass. That doesn't mean I'm smarter, though. So let me just read you the story. It's about goats, one of whose name is Margoat, which is the most charming thing about the story altogether. Yeah,
I
and
love this one.
they're all smiling.
Is this the goats from the paternity?
No, I don't believe so. I think it's a different breed. This appears to be a stock photo provided by our good friends at the Tampa Bay whatever newspaper is in Tampa.
Oh, I could have sent you my picture of the goat. That smiling goat.
Oh, you're talking about LeBron James?
No.
Or Michael Jordan?
No. Go ahead.
Odessa, Florida. She's like, I don't want to talk about sports. Chris Hedstrom first threatened to take her neighbor Heather Daner to court in February if she didn't provide DNA for a goat paternity test. She wasn't kidding around. Get it? A baby goat is called a kid. Mm-hmm. Just watch for all of these double entendres that come through. It's high-priced journalism at its best. Hedstrom filed a civil lawsuit against Daner at the end of May, asking for a refund on the goats she purchased from Daner, plus court costs and lawyer fees, or DNA to prove their lineage. Hedstrom paid Daner $900 for 5 Nigerian dwarf goats in December. Bella, Gigi, Rosie, Zelda, and Margoat. According to the lawsuit, Hedstrom was under the impression that the goat could be registered with the American Dairy Goat Association, a group that records goat pedigrees. Registered goats have higher value than goats that are not registered. Daner said that the father goat, Country Caprice Ace, was registered with the organization, but the American Dairy Goat Association rejected Hedstrom's application to register the babies because Daner is not an active member. To prove paternity, they would need about 40 hair follicles from the father goat for a DNA test. So Hedstrom wrote a letter requesting the DNA from Daner in February. Daner offered to refund the money in exchange for the goats, which means she was probably fibbing the whole time. At Baxter Lane Farm, Daner has been selling goats for about 10 years. She typically provides information to her clients so they can register their animals themselves. Okay, so these goats are goats from that farm, based on the caption of the photo. Daner said Hedstrom called the police on her for 3 months straight and has trespassed onto her farm. Documents from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office confirmed that a deputy visited the property at least 3 times in the spring. I love how they lead the story off with, like, her being the wrongdoer, and yet this woman's been harassing her for 3 months. She didn't hear anything else until Hedstrom filed a lawsuit in June. Hedstrom spoke with the Tampa Bay Times reporter and provided a photo of the goats. After the reporter spoke with Daner, Hedstrom retracted her statements and threatened legal action if a story was published. Hedstrom bought one of the kids, Margoat, for her friend Penny Vickery of Palm Harbor. Vickery said her goat had lice and worms and that required 5 medications a day. Margoat has since made a full recovery, but Vickery doesn't have the paperwork to register her. Quote, I have an amazing, beautiful, pretty little girl, but the vet said she's not sure she's a purebred. I thought I was going to have the option if I wanted to breed that I could. Daner plans to represent herself in court next month. So what would you do? I mean, it's either harassment or like some kind of goat fraud, right? What do you think's got the better story?
I just we're we're in humanity. We're fighting over goats.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you probably want to look at the paperwork before you spend the money, though, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. If I were gonna buy like a purebred something
You
or
know,
other,
It doesn't say how much these goats cost. I wonder how much a goat costs. I'm going to look that up real quick. Do you what's the last kind of purebred animal that you've bought before?
my bulldog.
When was that?
In 2009, 10, somewhere around there. I lost Gunner in a divorce.
You know, there's not just the American Dairy Goat Society, but also the American Goat Society, which apparently runs its own dairy goat registry. And the registered breeds include Alpine, La Mancha, Nigerian, Dwarf, Nubian. Hey, Nubian, I got those parts of Nubian, Oberhasli, Pygmy, Saanen, Sable, and Toggenburg. The American Goat Society was founded in 1935 by a group of dairy goat breeders who wanted the assurance that their pedigreed dairy goats would be handled as purebreds, not as grades. So that's a real thing. But you know, I used to go back and forth between here and Cleveland all the time, and I used to take my camper, and on my way back and forth between here and Cleveland, there was a place in Wytheville, Virginia that I would stay overnight frequently, and I still do. I stayed in Wytheville on the way back on this past trip at an airport or at a hotel. Regardless, though, this place had a bunch of goats, and you could, like when I would walk the dogs, I would go visit these goats, and the goats were just kind of free ranging in this 3 or 4 acre pen. And they would come right up to the gate.
This is just when you just came back.
No, and let me get to that.
Oh, okay.
Because I understand that somebody who was visiting this place, I talked to the owners, and apparently one of the dogs that was visiting 3 or 4 months ago got into the acreage and killed all of the goats, like mauled them all to death. And I was really sad to hear that because my dogs were totally cool with them. Not the current dog, but the prior dogs, because I used to travel a lot more back then. But
Yeah.
and they just walk up and the goats would be like, meh, and the dogs would be like, you know, like a couple of startled hens. But yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. This is just interesting only in Florida stuff, right?
Well, yeah. And, you know, leave it to a Florida woman to want to file a paternity suit over a goat. Welcome to Florida.
Yeah, welcome to Florida. And so we should probably tease a couple of things. We have a Florida congressional candidate for District 19, Florida, coming up on a future episode. We're going to do an interview with him. His name's Darren Aquino.
Yes.
As soon as we teach him how to use Skype, we will get him live on a future live stream. Give us your feedback on the live streams and tell us how you think it went. This is our first time truly live streaming. We did the IGTV platform, and we also did YouTube this evening. You can find us on Twitter at Tipcast239, Instagram Trouble239. You can find Jazmine on Twitter at
Jazmine Star, JazmineStarr
239, and at Nigel Kent 239 as well. And I think that's about it. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Stitcher, and of course Trouble in Paradise on YouTube. To everybody that has been waiting for those famous and fabled words all episode long, stay out of trouble. And
How do you turn this thing off?